Good morning. This is Dr. Matthew Dunn, host of The Future of Email. My guest today, Anna Levitin of Powtoon, my buddy from conferences and Zoom calls and things like that. Anna, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew, for inviting me. And I think the last time I've seen you face to face, it was
Mailcon?
April, right?
Yes.
Mailcon
Yeah, we bumped
conference
into each other accidentally. And I said, Powtoon, I love that company.
Oh,
Before we talk about Powtoon and email, I just want to put a little context to this. Anna and I are talking. It's early in the morning Pacific time, probably late in the day. But Anna, you're actually my second from a bomb bunker guest. You told me you're in the bomb-proof shelter in Tel Aviv, correct? Yeah,
right.
I had Dmitry Kudrenko, who you might have met at that same conference from Stripo, on this podcast almost a year ago, and he started by apologizing because the lights might go out because bombs might start dropping. So there you are, as poised and calm as can be, despite the fact that you're in a bomb shelter. Wow.
Right. They made the bomb shelter to the studio to
Yeah.
make this thing.
Yeah. Good internet connection in the bomb shelter there. How do you keep your head in the business and in the job with such horrible circumstances around your ears?
I wouldn't say that it's easy. It's quite a challenging task,
Yeah.
but I guess it's very important to focus on what you actually like, what you enjoy doing. And in my
Yeah.
case, it's email
Yeah.
and marketing consideration.
Yeah.
So actually focusing on work, on events, on online webinars,
Mhm.
it helps me
Yeah.
to stay energized and stay and focus on something more than just our conflict.
Yeah. One of the big, it's got to be a big psychological difference. You, Dimitri, it's got to be a big psychological difference that in the middle of that, you can have a face-to-face call with someone somewhere else on the globe, or do business and work with someone somewhere else on the globe. Like your day-to-day is not completely defined by the circumstances just around you. In fact, your company is so global, I suspect a lot of your work focuses outside of where you are. Yes?
Right, that's true. Powtoon, we have headquarters here in Tel Aviv. We have office in London. We have teams from South America, Brazil, Ukraine, and individual contributors from all over the world. But
Wow.
I want to mention something like on the positive side, I'm not very flexible person, so it's difficult for me to change my schedule. I like everything planned in advance. Whenever I have like an email schedule, for a month, I don't like to change it. So with the current circumstances, actually, they taught me how to be more flexible and how
Yeah.
to day by day. Okay, I don't know what's gonna be in the evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Uh, you said Powtoon is Tel Aviv headquarters. Okay. So I get a fanboy for just a second. I have been a Powtoon customer and user since I think your company actually started. I think my first Powtoon was probably 2011, maybe 2012. Like,
Wow, yes, it's
yeah,
very beginning.
very beginning. I think it was actually an incredible Flash app early on, and then I had to migrate.
Mhm.
Yep, she's nodding, and I had to migrate some of the content that my team had done to the new version when you guys moved away from that. Thank goodness. But so tell people what is Powtoon? What do you do? Do that so we can talk about it even more.
Great. So Powtoon is a visual communication platform. In other words, we help users to create engaging animated presentation. For example, you have a new employee and probably you have like a doc, PDF, boring, 50 pages. No one really gonna read it, let's be honest. So we help to convert it to engaging 5, 6 minutes video. So we work with B2B, as I mentioned, like in case of onboarding, new training, offboarding, and with the B2C, whenever you need to create presentation, we have a big educational segment of users as well.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
subscription model, premium. Go ahead, register, check it out.
You're you did that succinctly and eloquently, and I gotta say, what Powtoon was revolutionary when it first showed up, because those of us, sticking up my hand here, who were doing animation stuff early digital era, like 2009, 2010, Flash was actually the only tool early on, and it was getting pretty creaky by then. Um, and the notion of being able to work in a browser to do this, like, no, inconceivable, no way. And along comes Powtoon, and you've got turnkey sets and characters and scenes, and like, wow, this is really nicely done. Yeah, yeah, it's quite a
And
thing.
now
And
we are
now,
working on our AI solutions.
I
So
figured, I figured,
yeah, it's just, you would type the prompt, like I need a presentation for XYZ,
yeah,
include this and that,
yeah.
voila, and you will be able to have like ready
Wow,
your
wow.
presentation.
We'll come back to AI because we always end up
Sure.
talking about AI these days, and there's something gained and something lost in that. But I wanted to explore first, like, tell me about your job. What do you do for Powtoon?
So I like to say that I do emails and everything around that, which is actually the truth. I joined Powtoon about 2.5 years ago um, as a email marketing specialist, and now I lead marketing operations team.
Okay.
And maybe I will go a little bit back, like starting from my
Yeah.
marketing career,
Yeah.
um, because I started my marketing journey from working with the classic media like radio, newspapers, TV commercials.
Mhm.
It's so much fun, and maybe later, yeah, we will talk about like what is the difference between digital and like out of
Yeah.
home, let's say that. And I worked in an agency. It was again great experience working with different clients. And then I politely moved to the digital, and I worked in a small startup where basically you do everything marketing related, like
Mhm.
acquisition, affiliate, bloggers outreach. And I realized that I really like retention. I like to analyze the behavior of users, and that brought me to email marketing world. And during the pandemic, like I was just so like surprised in a positive way to discover that we have such a fantastic communities like email geeks, Slack channel, LinkedIn, and I just
Yes.
follow.
Yeah. 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 There is email itself is a robust community. Fair statement. Yeah. Yeah, and that must be a bit fun since you came over from the traditional media side. So you mentioned television. You actually had your hands in on the big box at some point in time. You worked in television?
I was working in an agency and we had some clients, like the
Okay.
pharmaceutical clients
Yeah.
that worked on TV commercials. So we
Yeah.
provided them with everything from the idea to the shooting and the actually, on the air on the channels.
What are the biggest differences and biggest similarities between that broadcast media and the email work you're doing now?
And I would say in generally, like, as I said, I like to focus on like user behavior,
Mhm.
people behavior, and maybe not maybe it comes from my education. I have a
Good
master
college.
degree in cultural anthropology.
Yeah.
But what I like in email is that now it's measurable, right? I can say, oh, I feel that way, but actually the data
It says.
will approve this or not. And in a classic media, I feel that all the metric they're not certain.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we worked with the advertisement, like out of house advertisement, it was like opportunity to see. And God knows how it was calculated.
Right, right.
Probably the amount of people that could be at the same time driving on this highway.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. I mean, we think of the sort of previous wave of media as being more metered and measured, but in truth, they weren't, right? I'm thinking especially radio, right?
Right.
Broadcast wave goes out, how many people are listening? Who knows? Right? And it was probably statistical sampling to try and get at least some measurement back. Same for TV, although TV is a little later and you had your Nielsen households in the US to do that kind of measurement. Email is not entirely measurable, though. Like, were you in the middle of email when MPP showed up and started making life even more complicated?
Yes. Yeah.
So how many people opened this? We're still kind of guessing. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can't fully rely like on open rates, on click-through rate, but we can compare it to the clicks and opens we had like yesterday,
Yes.
last week,
Yeah.
month ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. The audience for Powtoon, am I correct in assuming that it's all over the globe?
Right. Yes.
Wow.
We have a lot of users from United States, like North America in general, Argentina, Mexico. We have a big community in Brazil.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Australia, Asia.
And London headquarters or London office as well, you said. How do you grapple with uh, the multiplicity of languages that customer base speaks?
So at Powtoon currently, because our platform is in English only, so the majority of communication is in English. But as I said, for example, we have a community in Brazil, so we have like a webinar in Portuguese. We have some email communication in Portuguese,
Mhm,
something in Spanish, blog post in French.
mhm.
But yeah, multilingual. This is something that interests me personally because I like to say that I
'Cause you're
speak.
multilingual.
Yeah. And prior to Powtoon, I used to work in an e-commerce company where we actually worked with more than like 14 languages.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was very interesting. Like in terms of, um, it's not about like translation, but like localization is much more than just translation.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
different topic.
It is, but so for the most part right now, what you're doing handling email campaigns is English centric, and to some extent, is it fair to say people are a bit accustomed to that on internet, email, digital platforms in general? Like English is kind of lingua franca, although it's not a perfect solution.
Yeah, I guess the majority of the users they get used to okay, at the same language as I use a platform, like I will receive communication in the same language, and we are looking forward to adding like several languages to our
Yeah,
platform, but it's a little bit
yeah.
it takes
And
time.
Powtoon UI, I know it's in English, having used it a lot, but some localization of that user interface already.
No, not yet,
No, okay,
unfortunately.
okay. Well, not unfortunately. That's a very, as you said, complicated, expensive thing to do, and it means your code base maintenance is X times as complicated going forward. I mean, I've been around software development long enough to know how fiendishly hard it is and how nuanced it is to take something that looks trivial and actually do it well in a completely different character set, language, and so on. Yeah, not easy at all. Not easy at all. And then if you did it truly local for your backyard there, then you'd have to grapple with a really complicated, right set of character sets. Your English is so terrific, but I've got to assume you speak at least 2 other languages.
Yeah, so I was born in the Soviet Union in Russia
Yep.
in beautiful city Saint Petersburg.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow.
my mother tongue is Russian.
Is Russian. Yeah.
And I lived for a while in the States.
Yeah.
Um, don't ask me why. I was 19, young.
Yeah.
Uh, it was sort of student exchange program. I
Yeah.
was there in Daytona Beach, and then the majority of the time in Boston,
Yeah.
beautiful city, in
Yes.
love with that. Um, yeah, and then at some point of my life, after graduation from the university, I moved to Israel,
Yeah.
and this would bring me actually my third language, like Hebrew. And
Right.
somewhere in between at the university, I studied Latin language for 1 year, and it turns like to speaking Spanish also,
Wow.
un poco.
Un poco. Good for you. Wow. Wow. And Israel, how Tel Aviv, how long now?
I live in Tel Aviv for the last like 6.5, 7 years
Oh,
almost.
okay. 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 So you've been there long enough to really see what the change around your ears since October is
Yeah.
like. That's got to be something else. We'll come back to that. I want to go back to Powtoon for a second. Powtoon fundamentally is a SaaS platform, right? Fair software as a service. Only the unusual thing about Powtoon is it's a creative tool. It's not a utility tool. It's not accounting. It's you can do incredible animation, presentation, and visual communication on it. Is that a really different thing to market and to build a community for in your job than something that's more functional, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great community. Like we receive, feedback from our users. We also like we provide a free access for some like educational institution
Mhm.
mostly.
Mhm.
And when you receive an email saying, "Wow, thanks to Powtoon, I created a presentation and I was enrolled into college," or like it
Wow.
helped me to pass my exams.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Indeed. Wow. Indeed. Um, and it as Powtoon has sort of expanded and grown in the last decade plus, embracing that visual communication, not just a particular form of animation, seems to have become like core to the mission. You don't think of it as just an animation platform, right?
No, it's much more
Right.
than just animation, because also on the enterprise side, it's more than animation. It's opportunity to collaborate with your team,
Mhm.
to share thoughts, to see the progression. A great example, again, as I shared previously, like there is, for example, security training
Yeah.
that whole team needs to complete, and the team can be like 100 people. So
Yeah.
you can see actually the progress, and there can be quizzes and questions implemented into this. So it's not only animation tool; it's like the knowledge hub, I would say, the like
Yeah.
academy, like internal source.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, couple directions to go. This is the one that I think is interesting though. And I'm not trying to pin you with this question. It's an honest one. Email is not the best visual communication platform. Can we agree on that? Like, oh, the look on your face is priceless there.
Outlook, Outlook.
Oh, look, right. How do you grapple with that, right? You're at the visual communication company and you've got some serious handcuffs doing like making email a more visual medium. It's not good at that.
Yeah, you won't believe, Mary, but this is like literally every week we are talking about that our
Don't
like
believe it.
email. They're not enough like animated. They're
Yes.
not enough like cartoony, let's
Yes.
say.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I honestly like we create a lot of GIFs
Yes.
at Powtoon,
Yeah.
and this is what we implement in our emails again on B2C and on B2B. Like I love. I love creating like interesting emails for enterprise clients as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, GIFs, and like we use our characters through all our communication. For
Sure.
example,
Sure.
we have pop-ups on their website with a specific character. So we use the same character, the same mm, yeah, the same character in email, and the same like person on the webinar. So we try to bring this connection. But you're totally right. Like I wish that it will be super easy to implement a video
Yeah.
or AMP emails will be supported by each and every inbox provider.
Yeah. and neither of us are going to hold our breath about that particular thing happening, right? And I mean, this is a bit inside baseball and probably interesting to you and I, and maybe not the entire world, but the reality of email technically is that it's fairly old and it's actually fairly dumb, right? There's no scripting, there's no language that runs universally in email clients, and graphics that move very, very constrained. I mean, you mentioned GIF, whichever. That's a really old format, and it's the best we've got in terms of will probably play almost anywhere. Wow.
Right.
That's a horrible set of handcuffs, isn't it?
Right, totally agree. And I remember when I was used to work in a financial company, also like in the email department and e-commerce, we always thinking, okay, how it will be seen in Outlook. Let's say we need to make sure that the first frame has
Yeah.
all the information
Yes.
like
Yes.
discount,
Yes.
dates, and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the technical convolution you can try to go to work around that doesn't end up being worth a lot of the cost, honestly. So you end up with, let's make a GIF and live with it, or GIF and live with it.
This is the thing that like I know there probably will be few people that on more development side listening to this podcast. And again, it's possible to create like very high quality email from the code standpoint. But when you work in a small team, like our team at Powtoon, we basically have like 2.5 people in marketing operations.
Wow.
Uh, we don't want like we don't have a possibility to invest that much time
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
developing what we do.
Yeah. You can't make it that complicated because you still got stuff to, get out the door on a regular basis. So that puts a lot of weight back on writing, copywriting language, even for a visual communication company.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, it's the reality of the medium. And at the same time, I'm going to guess, just from the fact that you've got a job, that email is a pretty critical piece of the relationship with the user base.
True. Yeah, that's totally true because also we have about 40 million users at
Wow.
Powtoon. Yes.
Wow.
Of course, not all of them active, right? But
Sure.
still a huge database.
Yeah.
Uh, we also have a lot of data about them. And I'm not talking first, last name, right?
Right.
Location. No. How many Powtoons they created, what templates they use, or did they create from scratch, which means for me that they're more higher, they know how to use the tool
Yeah.
better than other users,
Yes.
or did they use a capture?
Yeah.
Did they like what feature they adopted?
Yeah.
So everything of these things, it helps me actually to personalize and to segment
Into segment. Okay.
audience.
Wow. Okay. So you have access to some of that data, which isn't always the case for email marketers.
Access, I mean, with the help of development team,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
some, conversation and saying, okay, we can't leave it for quarter 5
Yeah.
the year, which usually, I get this sort of deadline.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and again, it's on the B2C side and on B2B as well. We
Mhm.
just now been talking about like, okay, how we want to personalize our B2B emails based on the license. Either it's like a creator or it's on
Right.
the editor, it's an
Right.
admin or regular user. And
Right.
of course, I would like to have everything in a ESP inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a nice set of assets to have though, like the fact that it's not just this one big blob of anonymous people, that you've actually got at least some insight. So most campaigns, there's some degree of segmentation, personalization, as much as you can do with a small team.
Right. Yeah. So the basic segmentation is like by onboarding data.
Mhm.
Again, we know probably like use case, department, seniority for
Mhm.
enterprise users, for self-serve for B2C users. We know the also like the use case,
Mhm.
or like if it's educational or it's
Mhm.
like marketing purposes,
Okay.
business.
Okay.
non-profit. So at least based on this, we already can at least like to suggest the relevant templates that
Oh, I
they.
see. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because your temple library, it was big when you started. It's got to be ungodly now. I haven't
Yeah.
logged in quite a while, but that's quite a tool set to have. Before we go back to AI, I did want to talk about ESPs because I think you said you recently migrated your email service provider. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
we don't have to name names, but are you happy with the new set of tools at your disposal?
Yes, I'm super happy because again, when when I was searching for ESP that
Hmm.
will fit our needs,
Hmm.
um, we, as I said, we need like a flexible tool for a small team that could be managed by a small team
Yeah.
and be quite independent from other teams. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like people, right? I like other teams. We have a great, great team at Powtoon, but I need to be able, let's say, even to create a new member attributes, to create new fields like on
Uh,
my own.
on your
Uh,
own. Okay.
this was one of their like criteria, and
Yeah.
of course, customer support. UX UI friendly.
Yeah. Um, so you ended up in that funny intersection. I think we've talked about this, that funny intersection between the ESP and the CDP, and it's got to do whatever's going to work's got to do some of both for you, right?
Right. Yeah. And there, I texted you actually preparing for this call that I might quote here Chris Marriott
Yes, our buddy Chris.
because he likes speaking about like ESP, CDP. And I mean, again, for small team, we don't have like manpower, to maintain two platform.
Yes.
So quoting Chris, like I think that ESP developed so much
Yeah.
that it's more than just like delivery process. It's more than just like send.
Yeah.
It's also like it's combining working actually this data and keeping data.
And not just data in the abstract, data about that complicated thing called a person at the other end of the channel, right? Oh,
Right.
so
Yeah.
so here's a conversational segue for you. I would predict that a lot of the difficulties we grapple with in data and managing the complexity of data, and let's just narrow it down to something like keeping track of a customer and the attributes you need about them. That seems like a great job for AI because doing it manually field by field is it just never stops and it gets more complicated. And, and you end up saying, oh my word, I'm an email department and I need a full-time database person. Do you think we'll get AI on that job eventually? Keeping track
I'm
of
sure
customers?
we will,
Yeah.
but yet like the first step of integration,
Yeah.
that will be like a manual work
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
I think this is something we can't really, just give to AI tool
No. Yeah.
testing, making sure that we get a proper data.
Yeah. Yeah. I end up working with a lot of data sets in my various jobs, plural. And I'm an okay SQL guy, but I've increasingly started cheating and getting either Claude or Chat GPT to help me write really hard queries. Not because I need the end output from them, but sort of figuring out how to construct it. It's helpful to say, take a shot at this AI and then learn from what I see in the output and figure out how to do it for my particular circumstance, situation, table set, whatever else. It's AI as assistive intelligence, not as a replacement artificial intelligence. So I suspect your prediction about it'll be a very manual process starting to move some of the MarTech puzzle into the AI world. Yeah, completely agreed. Your table set doesn't look anything like anybody else's after about a month. You're on a brand
Right.
new ESP. I'll bet you already have your own quirks in the model, right?
Yeah, and actually, I like your example about how you use AI to help you to write like the code part,
Yeah,
because I personally like I'm not a techie person at all.
yeah,
But again, like in USP, what we use it's JSON code
yep,
because let's say I get an event from the backend, like user register, and I have several parameters, but I also want to, based on these parameters, to rank it somehow
mhm,
like
yeah,
in my system.
yeah,
So I need to write the JSON code, and sometimes, like it doesn't work, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
ChatGPT, help to understand which mistake, or okay, I have this data.
yeah,
What else can I get from that data? Give me
yes.
ideas.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, where I see AI playing maybe it's an expected role, but it's sort of helping with the interface between the analog and the digital, if you will. Because like, debugging a bunch of JSON, I do it too. It's hard. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean I missed a quote? Like just like sort it out for me, would you? And getting a silicon helper to deal with something like that is a relief because doing it yourself manually gets old after a while. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. So you did give me a little clue about your ESP of choice when you talk about Jason. Chris Marriott,
Mhm.
again, we can quote talking about relational and non-structured data and how we're gonna move in the more non-structured direction. Does your ESP itself cloud hosted and is it local? Is it global? Is it US? Like where are the bits that are Anna's kingdom right now?
So it's global solution.
Mhm.
And what was important actually for us, it's to receive like a customer support and CSM from from similar time zone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's also in the North America, but
Yes.
also in Europe.
Okay. Okay. Nicely done, by the way. Nicely done. We're dancing around talking and we're dancing around naming names, which I've been guilty of doing at times, but particularly since you just migrated, um, you don't want your old ESP hacked off at you in any way, shape, or form. Where, um, where do you see Powtoon and your role in Powtoon going? I mean, visual communication's not going away. I would think there's a fairly exciting future ahead for the company.
Wow, that's a good question. And I would start from like AI solution.
Yep.
As I said, we're planning to release few features. One of them, I mean, it's like AI solution, but for I guess different categories of the users. And we circle back on segmentation because we have some very like advanced users that they don't need AI to produce to create a presentation for them, but they sometimes need an inspiration. So we have like a script wizard that help them to write a script for for each slide.
Mhm.
And we will have a solution for how to say for junior users, right? Just to add a prompt and receive a result. Yeah, and a few other things. So the way I see so this is one part of Powtoon, like AI integration. And the second part is separating like self-serve solution, B2C solution, and B2B, and making B2B again is like as a knowledge center. Because I guess each of us like experience a situation when it's handoff or you're joining the new team and then you receive tons of links like in G Drive, in email, just like PDF docs, and it's like in the random places and it's very difficult to navigate.
Mhm.
So yeah, Powtoon will be like one-stop shop for these purposes and for trainings as well.
Do you think that do you think that someone, let's say, under 30 is has a more visual bias in their communication preferences than someone over 30? Broad question.
Well, I don't remember how it's under 30.
I just made that up.
Um, yeah, I mean,
Are we
I guess
becoming more visual?
yes. Uh, the way I guess the new generation, they more connected to the like visual content, even like myself. Again, if we are just compare like the written article with
Yeah.
video content, and also we like diversity. We like the diversity of the content. So, for example, um, like if we release like a nurture campaign,
Mhm.
uh, it can be that each and every type of material of the content is like written content. No, it should be video. It should be something like a PDF, ebook, written blog post, maybe some interactions like quizzes.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, it's a very anthropological question, isn't it?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like, and at the same time, and this is where this is sort of square on the business that you're a part of, visual communication's not easy, right? Like, it in some ways, it's easier from a time perspective to bang out an intelligible sentence or paragraph than to convey the same thing in well-constructed visual communication. Like, the investment of time and effort to do the visual communication well is not trivial, and the people who have the training and knowledge set to do it well, almost everybody learns to write, almost nobody gets trained to communicate visually.
I mean, this is the why Powtoon exists. Like we
Gee, was that
have
a setup or what?
we help users to create like
Yeah,
really easily create because
yeah,
you can write like the whole page
yeah,
describing the situation, but you
yeah.
can show one slide.
Yes,
And
yes, that's true.
for
Yes,
example, whenever I make a presentation, like I'm on speaking in a conference, I create presentation at Powtoon, and then like I don't talk about Powtoon. I'm just saying, look at the screen. What you
yes,
see now, it's Powtoon. That's
yes.
it.
Yeah, let it speak for itself, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
cool. So, yeah, hey, you get to what we say in software, eat your own dog food, use your own tool set. That's pretty powerful. If you could wave a magic wand and make email sort of a first class interactive environment so that you could use Powtoon output and animation natively in email, would you do it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Nice.
I mean, a great demonstration of the tool, first of all. And I think it's again, it's easy and pretty like cheap to create.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it'd be remarkable to see what the difference is. Um, this is a funny sideways way to come at a different question, but is there a messaging app that's sort of predominant, almost everybody uses in the street in Tel Aviv? WhatsApp, WeChat, et cetera. Anything in that class?
We use a lot of WhatsApp. Yes.
A lot of WhatsApp. Okay, I kind of would have guessed that, but not having been there yet, I'm not sure. Uh, as messaging platforms are evolving, and I'm thinking particularly of Apple announcing that they're going to jump on board with RCS, Rich Communication System. I think the potential for messaging to start to uh, be of first class part of that marketing and community channel that someone like you manages primarily via email now is very real. And those platforms have different attributes. Messaging, quite a different thing than email, but I think we're going to have to start grappling with it. Do you pay attention to that now in your job, or is the diversity of customers too much and you've got to focus just on email?
So, eh, actually, I don't have a lot of experience with mobile in general
Yes.
because, like Powtoon particularly, our application is desktop only.
Yeah.
It's difficult to work like even on a tablet.
Yeah.
So we always encourage users to log in from the desktop whenever they try mobile version, and we use primarily email and like in on-site communication, in-app
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
But I love seeing these like multi-channel solutions that can, that connected to the social media, to messengers, SMS and email, and
Yeah.
dynamic landing pages.
Yeah.
Uh, I would love to learn more about that and see the next steps, see how it's developing.
I suspect that one of the ironic things that's going to keep email, um, email's not going away. We can have that conversation, but I suspect one of the things that's going to keep it central is the fact that it's still kind of a common solution across lots and lots of countries where messaging, for example, is already very fragmented. WhatsApp there, almost no one uses WhatsApp in the US, for example, surprisingly. And
Yeah.
if you're in China, it's WeChat, not WhatsApp. So we've got this, there's a it's the United Nations, right? There's a whole bunch of different platform languages, but email outside China, email, everyone's got that. That's what
I
you
think
do.
it will help to add another layer of personalization. For example, if I prefer to receive messages in WhatsApp,
Yeah,
uh, company that targets me, they will see it, okay, and they will communicate, I don't know, on the weekly basis for WhatsApp, and then once a month, like product update or something through the email.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What was that a consideration in picking your new ESP? What their capabilities for messaging are?
Yeah, definitely, because
Okay.
we want to add like a push notification at some point, maybe SMS as well and
Yeah.
other channel.
Yeah. Okay. Is there an active online community of Powtoon's user base?
Yes. Yeah, we have a community. We have like a premium community for users with that licensed and
Yes.
have more options. And we have like a weekly, not weekly, monthly webinars
Yes.
where we announce new features and just to like show how to work with Powtoon. Yeah, we LinkedIn, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok.
Wow. That's a lot to keep track of for a relatively small team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a social media team. It's not on the marketing ops plate,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
we're not huge marketing team, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's still that's a lot to juggle. And I've got to bet you've got some incredibly passionate, picky, opinionated users, which is the best kind.
We have users that actually build their business on Powtoon. Like,
Yeah.
for example, we have language teachers that create all their trainings at Powtoon. They teach
Wow.
several languages. We have, I think, math teacher, like literally their YouTube channel, like every single video is Powtoon.
Is a tune. Wow.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it makes sense to me, right? Just because I know how flexible and sort of constantly evolving the tool is and how hard it is to do similar caliber work in almost any other environment. I mean, I haven't touched animation tools from Adobe and whatnot in a while, but yeah, it was hard. Powtoon made it easy. So you landed at a great place. Um, okay, what are we gonna wrap on? What did we not cover from your awesome organized agenda? What did we not talk about that you were thinking we might talk about?
We talked about migration, about the classic media.
Yep.
Yes, about
Yep.
my love to anthropology.
Uh,
And maybe we can touch a little bit about the like the future. We slightly mentioned like ESP, CDP,
yeah.
but um in general, like I just want to say one more time that the way how I see the future, like first of all, um, email. I would love to see more email marketers joining, our geek community, and I think actually with help of AI, it will be easier because when I talk to people that just graduated, they think that, okay, oh, email marketing is only about writing, creating content, what if I don't like it? So I think AI can influence also in that way to give more like interest, to help juniors to join this career. And also like on ESP CDP side, I think the platforms will be more focused on marketers, and it became more like easier to operate
Yes.
rather than something like sophisticated that requires implementation, and like 2 weeks of dev team work.
Right.
So, and it will be more like the main idea of ESP, CDP, CSP platform, whatever you call it, it's like to be able to deliver and analyze like right now in the real time.
Wow. Wow, I like that idea. Yeah, because
Dreaming, dreaming.
right, because you only have so much time to sort of make sense of what happened with last week's campaign or the new customers, and then you've gotta get on to the next one, which is kind of the reality, the cadence of email marketing. And you touched on it in what you just said, but and I think we both have observed this in the world of hardcore email folks that we get to be around. It's not a career someone plans for. They tend to fall into it sideways
Mm.
somehow. And then you go, wow, this is actually really interesting, diverse, challenging, all that other stuff. You have to wear a lot of hats to do the job you do.
Right.
Yeah.
I was working in a travel startup when I was firstly like exposed to email,
Yeah.
and the CEO was like, "Oh, by the way, we need to send email. Like, can you handle this?" And I'm like, "Of course, why not? Let me call it how to send
Yeah.
email."
And now here you are years later, sending stuff globally to 40 million people. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Wow.
love that.
Well, Anna, it's been a gas. I knew we'd have fun. I so appreciate you making the time, calling in from the bomb shelter.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Like, I love talking about emails and my journey in marketing,
Yeah.
and
It's
in
a it
Israel.
it's a fascinating one, and, to focus as you do in the middle of, quite literally explosions around your ears, it's a pretty big deal. If someone gets interested in Powtoon from our conversation, we send them to powtoon.com, correct?
Right.
And then if someone says, "Ooh, email marketing, what an interesting career, maybe I should pursue that," then we're gonna send them to Only Influencers and Email Geeks, right? What else?
Yeah, true. People can reach out to me on LinkedIn and
Yeah.
Levitin. I'm very happy like to chat with everyone.
That's terrific. Well, my guest today has been Anna Levitin from Powtoon. Thank you, Anna. We're out.
Thank you. Bye bye.